what's the vagus nerve got to do with it? That's what we're here to talk a little bit more about today. And the vagus nerve actually is the largest nerve in the human body, but it derives its name from the Latin word vagus, which actually means like vagabond or wandering. So this nerve goes from the entire body, kind of meanders around and really touches every area of our organs and our certainly the gut and our digestive tract. So the vagus nerve is cranial nerve 10. It is the longest nerve, as I mentioned, in the human body. And the pathways actually carry both of the sort of motor and sensory. So I talked a bit before. I like to say, to simplify things, we can relate to nature, many of us, and we certainly understand a little bit about technology and mechanics, based on our background, but essentially that our body is pipes and electricity. It is a beautiful landscape, but we have the pipes that go, literally from as we take in food from the mouth, all the way wandering down through the esophagus, the stomach, the intestines, and then out where we excrete. And also the electricity, which is more what we're talking about today, the brain and the central nervous system, and then the autonomic nervous system, which is really the lead conductor in the body's orchestra that's perceiving the external environment and then reading the stress and responding to the stress and doing, again, hopefully a fairly nice job, a dance of, how do I place my feet on the gas and then how do I place my feet on the brake, and to perceive all of the kinds of warning signs that are around me. That's the sensory, taking in everything from the external environment. So as this nerve is wandering, it goes from the brain to the tongue, down to the heart, and into the intestines. And again, is perceiving what's there. So, what's my heart saying? What's my intestines saying? And as it picks up that information, then it's going to be generating this response. So it is really a combination that links, right, the nervous tissue, the humoral, which would be everything that's going on in the fluid, the endocrine, and the immune messengers, really to, again, just conduct the orchestra that's responding to stress and either creating coherence, or it might be establishing a sort of a stress signal that is incoherent and maybe producing more of the state that we don't like to see, which would be the symptoms. So the vagus nerve is really the vital link between the brain and the gut. We know now more. I feel like it was not that long ago that the discussion about the microbiome and the gut-brain axis would have been sort of a fairly new topic, but now we know a lot about the microbiome, and we're still much more, and we've had some great different discussions about the microbiome in all different types of areas throughout the human body. I like, again, to talk about it like it's a beautiful garden. That's how it's meant to be. It's an ecosystem with really a diverse amount of different types of bacteria and species that are interacting to promote an overall state of health and well-being. And what I really love about the Biocidin formulas is that how we utilize those is really to do what I call the weeding and the seeding. So when we have any kind of pathogenic overgrowth, whether it's bacterial, if it's an elevated viral burden, if it is fungal, if it's parasitic, Lyme associated, any of these things, and anywhere from the microbiome in the sinuses to the digestive tract, the intestines, down to the vaginal area, the lungs, really anywhere, that we can look at these formulas as a way to optimize and restore health in the area locally by not necessarily thinking of the different species of bacteria, fungi, or any of these things as bad or good, but more in terms of what are the weeds? Where are the areas in the body that we have kind of an opportunistic type of infection where things have been given permission to overgrow because there's a weakness there, a lack of circulatory flow, perhaps post food poisoning incident or just getting, sick in one way or another, that we have to kind of detect where these places are in the body, do a little weeding and seeding, take out some of the excess growth of the bad stuff, put in more of the good. And this is again a way to kind of tonify the tissue, the terrain, if we can look at the body like a biological terrain. And then the nervous system, as it's perceiving, is saying, oh, the water over here, the cells over here, they're beginning to look a little healthier. And then it sends back signals to kind of do more of the same. So the vagus nerve, as I mentioned, links the brain to the gut. I work a lot with the gut brain axis because I've been working now many years side by side with a holistically trained medical doctor and psychiatrist, where we do a lot of work to support mental and emotional health. And, what we often see is that there's more than one route to the mental emotional symptoms that are kind of classified as neuropsychiatric, and that looking at the health of the terrain underneath, we know 95% of serotonin, which is our happy molecule, elevating the mood, the molecule that feels like sunshine, is produced in the gut. So some of these formulas that can support and restore the gut health and break down the biofilm, which is like the little plaques where the bacteria, the fungi, the viruses tend to kind of hang out and take up shop, that again, thinking about pipes and electricity, as we open up the pipes and we allow the circulation to move through, for folks suffering from constipation, always really important to do some things to get that more regulated so that we're able to eliminate toxins and to support the health of the intestines in such a way that we can eliminate what's not wanted and then put in more of what is. And that actually therefore helps the intestines kind of feed back to the brain and the mood in a positive way that is uplifting. So the vagus nerve actually does respond to the microbiome. Again, this is touching back to this idea that it's a receiver. So the more we do to promote the health of the terrain, the more it's going to receive the good stuff, and it's not receiving so much perhaps the chaotic messages that would come from an unhealthy gut, which is going to add to more stress and more symptoms.